So, good afternoon, everyone. Good evening, and buonasera. Welcome to the City of Revere's Italian American Heritage Month celebration. I can't hear you guys. So today we honor the tradition of the Italian American culture, food, entertainment. So I hope you sit back and relax for the speaking program, and then after we're going to invite you inside for some Italian food, and then we'll have some entertainment outside. First, we're going to start off by announcing the elected officials and dignitaries who are here with us today. First, we have our city leader, Mayor Patrick Keefe Jr. State Representative Jeff Turco. State Representative Jessica Giannino. We have at-large Councillor Juan Pablo Jaramillo. God, this wind. Ward 5 Councillor Angela Guarino-Sawaya. Ward 3 Councillor Anthony Cogliandro. Last but not least, Council President. I forgot. Council Vice President Joanne McKenna. And Council President Mark Silvestri. And I also want to mention former school committee man Dan McGuire. Okay. We also have the Consul General who's on his way, Arnaldo Minuti. We have the President of the Italian American Heritage Committee of Massachusetts, Richard Vita. And we have Revere resident and Secretary of the Committee's Italian Abroad, Fabio Colasante. Now, to begin this celebration, in reflection and gratitude, we invite Father Michael Della Penta of St. Leonard's Church up here to say a prayer, followed by oh, she's not here. Okay, we're going to start off with the prayer by Father Della Penta.
Yeah, can I ask us to please stand, and in preface to our prayer, in light of the proclamation of the President of the United States, who just designated Christopher Columbus as a day that we can all celebrate. One aspect of his life I think is so important, his faith in God. He trusted, and I thought it would be beautiful just to remind us, we have a beautiful model of putting all of our faith in God, even confronting the impossible. That's who Christopher Columbus was. So in that spirit, can I invite us to prayer, Father, Son, and the most Holy Spirit. Amen. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity to gather here in this moment. We thank you for the beautiful heritage that we share and celebrate today, the art, literature, but especially the immigrant faith that brought the gospel here with them, that it taught us to always open our heart to you, to trust in you with our whole being. We pray in a special way today that we might feel your presence. We might be reminded that you are always with us and that nothing is impossible with you. And so we ask you to bless us in a special way today. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the most Holy Spirit. Amen. God bless you.
I'm going to ask if you can stay standing for a minute. We're going to please rise for the national anthem, United States national anthem, and we're going to have our Revere's own Ward 5 Councillor Angela Guarino-Sawaya. Woo!
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallant silently streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Next, we have a legend in Revere who's performed with us for 4 years. Vincent Enzo Amare is going to sing the Italian national anthem.
Thank you, Steve. Fratelli d'Italia, l'Italia se desta nell'eno di Scipio, se cinta la testa, dove la vittoria le porga la chioma che schiava di Roma, il Dio la creò. Fratelli d'Italia, l'Italia se desta dell'elmo di Scipio, se cinta la testa, dove la vittoria le porga la chioma, che schiava di Roma il Dio la creò. Stringiamoci a cohorte, siamo pronti alla morte, siamo pronti alla morte, l'Italia chiamò. Stringiamoci a cohorte, siamo pronti alla morte, siamo pronti alla morte, l'Italia chiamò. Sì. Thank you. Grazie, grazie. Grazie.
Thank you, Enzo. You may be seated, everyone. Thank you. So, to officially open up tonight's speaking program, we are going to have the leader of our city, someone who's been very proactive when it comes to being inclusive, whether it's the Colombian heritage, whether it's the Arabic community, and tonight the Italian community. Our leader, our mayor of our city, has always been inclusive and been having our communities back. So without further ado, Mayor Patrick Keefe.
Thank you, Stephen. And I want to make sure everyone understands, I don't do this alone. This is all about community support, but it's also about having a team around me. People like Stephen Asma, who represent our community, but also help me recognize each and every group that's in the city of Revere. But it is no secret that, we don't have our favorites. My favorite is, we obviously have our household, but it's hard to not ignore that I am an Italian American. And I'm very proud of that. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong, right? Someone may say that we're celebrating the Italian American heritage in the city of Revere, and it's an Irish mayor. Well, today my name is Mayor Keefe. And just know that I grew up in an Italian household. My mother's Cacciola, my family's Cantos and Cacciolas, very strong roots in the North End, East Boston, and right here in the city of Revere. Opened multiple businesses in the city of Revere on Squire Road and in Northgate Plaza. And I'm proud to represent them. I'm also proud to represent all of our cultures. Father Michael also has deep roots in the city of Revere. His sister, his nephews, his family reside here, right off of Malden Street. Very good friends of mine, and I appreciate you making the trek over from Boston and saying that wonderful prayer, but also recognizing that, yes, it's also okay to say Happy Columbus Day. That's not insulting. And it's also okay to say Happy Italian American Month and Indigenous Peoples Month in all of them. We celebrate all cultures in the city of Revere. We celebrate all cultures in the United States of America. That's what makes us the best. That's what we're most proud of. So in Revere, or in Everett when I grew up, but we went to church on Sundays. We ate gravy at 2 p.m. And I brought an eggplant Parmesan sandwich to school on Monday. My friends looked at me like I had a warm sandwich next to their peanut butter and jelly. But that was normal to me. And that was normal to a lot of people that are here in this crowd. Very, very normal. The teachers appreciated it. They would always say, hey, can you bring a few extra meatballs tomorrow? They understood what good food was about, and that was something that influenced myself. And I think that that's what the popularity of today's event is. Councillor Sawaya, who has helped stand this event up the last few years, has really gone up and down along with Steve and Asma to talk to all the neighboring businesses and really ask them to contribute and participate. And we have a wide array of wonderful food from the city of Revere that represents our Italian heritage and the food that we love so much, that reminds us of home and reminds us of what is the center of something that we really truly appreciate. So Councillor Sawaya, your dedication to today's event and the commitment that you've made and the time you've put in does not go unnoticed, and I know that the people here and I know that your fellow colleagues in the council truly appreciate that. So from the bottom of my heart, I wanted to say thank you. I have a little something special for you at the end, but I'll finish my remarks. We have a large group here that are going to talk about some of their histories and some of what is most important to them, but as said, it doesn't go unnoticed that the Italian Americans that have settled here in Revere, that came here from different parts of the world, that came here from different parts of Massachusetts, a lot of them came from the West End or the North End, and coming to Revere was farmland. Pig farms and spinach farms, and also just a little space. But I looked up over there, and as Councillor Sawaya, very good singer, but also a teacher and a great counselor, I looked up and saw her mother who wanted to watch from what I call the stoop, okay? And I remember going to feast, and this is where I got this pin here. My mother would always say to me, you know, get the medal, get the pin, take it with you, it keeps you safe. But Eleanor reminds me of my aunt on Salem Street. And every feast, she wasn't very mobile, and we would go by the feast, we'd get all our food, we'd enjoy, we'd have our fun, we'd pin the dollar to get our pin. But my aunt would sit in the stoop and talk to us through the stoop, right on the first floor in Salem Street. And Eleanor reminds me very much watching her daughter sing of the feast in the North End. So it was really, I mean, I hope you get a picture of that. And that's a beautiful thing. So Eleanor, we love you and thank you for representing our community. But I wanted to give a little acknowledgement to the city's DPW for what they've done. But if you look across from you, we had a little tribute to Italian American Heritage Month and, of course, Columbus Day. And we represented with some flags on our light poles, not flag poles for sure, make that clear. But I wanted to make sure everyone understood the symbol, and I think that most of you may know, but just to reiterate the symbol of the Italian flag and what it means to Italians and what it means to everyone. The green symbolizes and represents the country's hope, with its rich farmland and vast agriculture to provide for its people. The white symbolizes the faith and purity, with its snow-capped Alps. And the red is a solemn reminder of the blood spilled to create the freedoms and independence that so many Italians sacrificed for. So that is what the Italian flag stands for, much like many of our flags have different meanings. Just a little bit of history there. But I just think it's really important that we don't forget where we come from, and we represent that proudly, but we represent that with respect for everyone else's culture. You're here in Revere. I love it here. I'm very thankful to be able to represent you, and I know that the Italian Americans that are here, that help build our city, that help teach at our schools, that fought in our country's wars, that work in our restaurants, that work in our buildings, and that are proud residents of Revere. I wanted to say thank you. I hope you enjoy the celebration. And I have one special gift I did want to give Councillor Sawaya for, this takes a lot. And it's not just a regular job. Being a council is very difficult. I know that firsthand, and I know all the councilors here. I see Paul Argenzio, Ward 4 councilor here as well. Thank you for being here. Makes peppers in his house, very traditional vinegar peppers. But Councilor Sawaya puts in a little extra overtime to make sure she gets this done. It doesn't pay anymore. We know that. She does it out of the love of her community. But she did the perfect thing that every Italian mother does. She brought lots of food to make sure lots of people joined, because we know that that's what brings you to the house. So, Councilor, I brought you under $50, a bottle of wine. Trust me, it was under $50. It's probably like 12. But just to say thank you, and I hope you can enjoy it tonight or tomorrow with some nice food. And I got you a mayor's certificate of recognition for your service to your community, but also for helping with Asma and Steve and the rest of the team here to coordinate today's event. Thank you very much, Councilor. So at this point, I know Senator Edwards, is Senator Edwards here today, or is Council speaking? Okay, so.
She is coming. She's going to speak later.
Then I'd like to invite up Representative Jessica Giannino.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's a pleasure to see everyone. I also want to acknowledge Tony Zambuto from the City Council and our Consul General from the Italian Consulate is here. Thank you for taking the time to come back to the City of Revere. We know you're no stranger to our community, and thank you for always making the time to be here every year. You know, a lot of people don't realize about Councillor Guarino-Sawaya is not only is she a city councilor and, you know, advocate for Italian heritage and Columbus Day and share so much for our city and fiercely advocate for Ward 5, but she also takes time out of her personal time to go onto Revere TV and translate all the material into Italian. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about my family heritage and why I think that is so beautiful and so important, because when you talk about the Italian immigration to the city of Revere, my family story is not much different than many of you who've been here for generations. My family came here in the early 1900s with nothing in their pockets. They were a young couple, and they had a dream. They wanted to start a family, and they wanted to start a new life. And when they had 10 children, that my grandfather was one of, my great-grandmother was adamant that yes, they were Italian, but they were American. And because of that fierce pride that she brought her family here to be raised, they didn't speak Italian in my house or my grandfather's house when he was growing up. And why I bring that up is because it's tragic. It's so sad that, you know, it took my grandfather going back to Italy to remember the language and to remember what he heard growing up. Some of my aunts picked it up a little bit, but for the most part, by the time it got to my father's generation and my generation, it was gone. I learned Italian at Revere High School when I took it as a language, and that's why it's so important that Italian is taught in Revere High School, and that it's a foreign language that we still celebrate in the city of Revere, because that's how I reconnected with my roots 3 generations back in that high school classroom, and I continued on to 4 more years of Italian at Salem State. Now, when we talk about how important that language and that culture is, it's part of your identity. And while yes, it is so important to my great-grandmother's legacy that we were American, it's also so important not to forget where we came from and to remember those roots. And when I think about what it means in my family to be Italian, and I talked about this before at the ceremony, there are 3 pillars in my household to being Italian American: faith, family, and food. And I think we all share that, because growing up, I knew there was pictures and statues of the Madonna in my kitchen, and Padre Pio, and of our Pope for my faith. I knew that at noon on Sunday and 5 o'clock every weekday, my grandmother had dinner on the table, and that was a meal we shared together. Some days were really tired and stressful after work. Some days we wanted to share about our days, and they were wonderful. But no matter what was going on in the world or in our lives, my immediate family gathered every day at the dinner table, and my extended family came over every Sunday. And it was to the point where we would sit in the backyard, we would add folding chairs, it was all of us gathered around that table. And there's something so beautiful about that I know is not unique to my family, because it's tradition for so many families in the city of Revere and so many Italian American households in our community. And, you know, aside from the food and the family and the gathering, what was so important in my family growing up was remembering that heritage and remembering the sacrifice that the generations before us had made. And 3 generations later, it's easy being born in the city of Revere, being raised here, going to school here, having things that my great-grandmother didn't have in the town in Italy where she grew up. I went there this summer. They didn't have running water in some of the parts of the towns where my family's from in Avellino. They didn't have electricity. And when she brought her family here, not only was there running water and electricity, there was a way that she could work to earn a living to raise her family. There were opportunities that her and my great-grandfather, her husband, didn't have in Avellino. And it's easy for me to go back to Avellino now and say, why did we leave this place? It's beautiful. I didn't want to come home. But I think about the sacrifice that she made so that I can be a state representative and representing the city of Revere. And that her other granddaughter, my cousin, Representative Vincent, could do. And to think about the legacy that my great-grandmother left behind. That's what this is about. It's that heritage. It's that deep roots in our community. It's that work ethic. It's our faith. It's love. It's family. It's food. The fact that on Sunday morning, I know how to make that gravy. And when the whole house starts to smell like it was gravy, right? Because it's me. All right, well, time out. My definition,
You look what you started.
if there is meat, whether it's white, brown, or red, it's a gravy. And if there's no meat, it's a sauce. I'll leave it at that. But anyway, when I smell the onions and the garlic and the oil simmering, and I wait till the onions get clear until I add my sausages in, it reminds me of home. It reminds me of my grandmother. It reminds me of my aunts. It reminds me of everything that made growing up so wonderful. It was a lot more fun when I woke up and when my grandmother does it and I don't have to. But we take turns now, and that's what's so beautiful about our culture. So thank you all for taking the time to celebrate. Thank you for listening to my story about my Italian heritage. And without further ado, I have the pleasure of introducing my counterpart, our resident historian, and the gentleman who's a proud advocate for Columbus Day and someone that's a fierce fighter at the State House for everything, not only for the city of Revere and the city of Winthrop, but to support Italian heritage. And he's proud of who he is, and he's not afraid to share his opinions about it. And that's why I love you, Jeff. Representative Jeff Turco. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
I was going to start off, thank you very much, Jessica. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was going to start off saying that the weather was beautiful on Monday. We're real Columbus Day, and if we did it then, everything would have been great. But then I remembered it was really terrible on Monday, so that wouldn't work either. But first, I wanted the First Lady of Revere, Jen Keefe. You didn't recognize your wife, Mr. Mayor. What the heck's going on here? Oh. So, you know, I have to say before I get into my remarks, and as my colleague and friend Rep. Giannino says, I do like the history, and so I'm going to briefly go into it. But if you remember, and Irma, you yelled at me, I think the last time I had my daughter here, Mary, and I tried to sell her off by giving out her phone number. But she's in college, 19, doing her thing, and my 13-year-old daughter says, Daddy, I'll come, give my phone number out. So my daughter Grace is here, but I can't give out her phone number until she's at least 16. So Grace, hello. And Mateo, he just wants to go get some pizza or some food inside when we're done. So my son Mateo, thank you for joining us in freezing out here. I'm privileged to be here, and I'm privileged to say a few words about Columbus Day and why we celebrate Columbus Day. Because yes, we celebrate our Italian heritage, and we're very proud of that. But why do we do all this? We do it because in 1891, when Sheriff Hennessy was killed in New Orleans, the largest population of Italians in the United States of America, they called it Little Sicily, was in New Orleans. And in 1891, but there was bigotry. I like to point out the Reform Democrats were in charge of the city. Mayor Shakespeare was the mayor, and when Sheriff Hennessy was killed, his last words to his captain were, "It was the Dagos." So Mayor Shakespeare, the great Reform Democrat that he was, came out and ordered his police to go through the entire city and round up every Italian that they could get their hands on and put them in jail. And so they arrested over 250 Italians the first day. And when they did, mostly Sicilian Americans, and when they did that, they then put them in the jail, and they did quick trials back then, sort of show trials. And believe it or not, despite them going through these show trials, many of them were found not guilty. But the Reform Democrats of New Orleans weren't willing to accept the fact that their fellow citizens, through a right of jury, found them not guilty, and they went out and they lynched the largest single-day lynching of Americans in the history of the United States. Largest, 11 Sicilian Americans were lynched. They broke into the jail, they grabbed these people, they strung them up, and they killed them. And so it's worth saying their names. Antonio Bagnetta was a fruit peddler. James Caruso was a stevedore. Loretto Comidis was a tinsmith. Rocco Garacci was a stevedore. Joseph Machichi was Macheca, was a fruit importer and political leader. Antonio Marchesi was a fruit peddler. Pietro Monasterio was a cobbler. Emmanuel Palizzi was a street vendor. Frank Romano was a ward healer. Antonio Scafidi was a fruit peddler. And Charles Trainer, a rice plantation laborer, killed for one reason, because they were Sicilian Americans. And so what happened? The relations between the United States of America, we were shamed in the world. The Italian government broke off relations with the United States. And in 1892, the President of the United States said this is a perfect time, 400 years since the brave leader, Christopher Columbus, sailed the ocean blue and came here, braved, risked life and limb to get here, got to the wrong place, but went out there and did what none of us would be brave enough to do. And the President of the United States said, well, as a peace offering to Italy to try to settle this thing, they turned out and they recognized Christopher Columbus, as for his great venture. Interesting enough, also Pope Leo XIII in 1892, Father, you'll have to correct my Latin, but it gave an encyclica, Quattro Abunto Secula, talking about the 400th anniversary of Columbus and the fact that he helped Christianize the Western world by his journeys, that he also helped stop some of the native slaughters that were taking place, a lot of good positive things that took place there. But so I think it's important that we always remember why we celebrate Columbus Day, what it means to so many people like myself, my friends, my family, my neighbors, and what it means to this community. And I have to say, Mr. Mayor, driving down Broadway Revere, seeing every other flagpole with an Italian flag and the American flag, literally I had tears in my eyes, and I want to thank you for doing that, because it says a lot about the contributions of my ancestors to making this city the great place it is. And someday some young kid is going to be here talking about they're going to see a Colombian flag, every other flag, or they're going to see a Mexican flag, and they're going to talk about the fact that their ancestors were the next group of people that came out and did what my ancestors did. I point out to you, I said this in East Boston, the English were in charge, and when the Irish came in, they treated the Irish like crap. And then when the Irish were there and they were in charge, and the Italians, or more to the point, the Sicilians, like 1980, East Boston was 90% Sicilian, not Italian, Sicilian. Think about that. And the Irish treated the Sicilians and the Italians like crap. And then when the Spanish came in East Boston, the Italians treated them like crap. And so we haven't learned the lesson yet, but by coming here and celebrating our culture, our heritage, hopefully we learn a little bit from the history that all of us can get better, all of us can do better, and God bless the United States of America and the great Italian people as well. I was ready to take the tape so you don't disagree with anything. Senator, my pal, my colleague, Senator Lydia Edwards.
I hope you caught that on camera.
We do joke. I mean, I'm sitting here twice. You should have seen me squirming when you're auctioning off your daughters. And then he's threatening to put tape on my mouth. Well, you gotta laugh, honestly. It does speak to our friendship, that we can go back and forth. We can disagree. I'm still gonna be over at his house for Sunday supper, because that's what I have been, and I will be invited again. That's why I'm also here to celebrate. When you, I can say this as a non-Italian, when you make a friend with an Italian American, you're family. I can say that literally because Christian, told me that. Jess's dad said that, you're family. He gets offended if I try to take a Uber home. He's like, no, I'm driving you home. I'm family. And the first family member I had, honestly, was Italian American who treated me like I was his granddaughter. He's gone now. East Boston's Stanley Bornegorio. I don't know if you remember him. You do. Stanley was about, 5 feet tall in height, but in heart, the man was 6'4". He served our country in the wars, and as I was knocking on the doors and got to know him, it really speaks to actually what Jeff just talked about. He talked about being the first generation of kids going to elementary school in East Boston as an Italian, and how embarrassed he was because he couldn't speak English that well. And he wouldn't have any of his friends come home because his parents couldn't speak English. And he talked about how much they made fun of him, and when his parents would give him lunch and good food that is gourmet for all of us now that we celebrate, right? He was embarrassed by it. He talked about that first generation, and it's important not only that we remember those who came before us and died for our rights in Louisiana, but also remembering you can look to some of your grandparents and your relatives here in East Boston, Revere, in the North End, who had to face a lot and had to, demonstrate that they're just as American and just as patriotic as anybody else and deserving to be part of Boston's history, Revere's history, demonstrating actually not only they're part of it, they're making it. I mean, honestly, if you think about 2 or 3 generations ago, go back to the 40s and 50s, that we'd be sitting here with majority elected officials who are Italian. You're the grandchildren of some people's dreams. Honestly, you're looking at a group of people who are their ancestors' wildest dreams. They never thought that could happen. They can't, yeah, clap for that. Look at who you are. You should be extremely proud. Why is it important to celebrate that? I mean, there are people who came, worked hard. You saw the fruit laborers who were doing hard work. Never thought they'd get beyond that. And they never thought they'd see a world where being an Italian American was not only celebrated, but it was part of the political class, part of having power, part of being the Speaker of the House. These are all worth celebrating, these moments of history that we've made here in Massachusetts and every single one of our communities. And I also want to say, part of the reason why I'm also happy to celebrate, not just Italian heritage. And on my way here, I was coming from drill, so that's why I was late. I'm on a 4-day drill for the National Guard. And I'll bring it up every single time. 1 in every 10 people who served in the Great War, World War II, were Italians. They had the largest amount of folks who passed and died fighting for this country. And you think about the conflict where your son may be fighting for the United States, but your father or your relative was fighting for Italy. That to me is patriotism that I can't even imagine. Now I only know one country to fight for, this one. But to have that love and acknowledgement of your history and your roots in one hand, and also having the hope, the dream, and the love of a new country in the other. To me, that speaks to not just the strength of Italians, but also the strength of immigrants. And I agree with you 100%, Jeff. There's lessons to be learned. Lessons to be learned about how to integrate into society, learning English, becoming part of the political class, and doing all of these different things that Italian Americans have had to learn and can teach others. And there's also lessons that we still need to learn. Love and accept people from wherever they come from, no matter their accent, because America is stronger together. So happy Italian Heritage Day, and let's celebrate that.
Thank you, Senator Edwards, for your leadership and dedication to our community. It's much appreciated. Next up, actually, there were a couple elected officials earlier at the beginning of the program. I announced the elected officials. There are a few that walked in during the program. So without further ado, Councillor at Large, Tony Zambuto. Ward 4 Councillor Paul Argenzio. And the real city leader of our city, the First Lady of Revere, Jennifer Keefe. Next up, we have a lady, a counselor, a fighter, a survivor of breast cancer, someone who gave it her all to put this event together. When I tell you she was knocking on the business doors, she was knocking on my door, giving me a headache left and right. She put me to work, and I worked retail for 30 years, a supermarket, retail. When I tell you, she worked me to get this event going. So I'm pleased to announce, honestly, it's been a pleasure. We have Ward 5 Councillor is going to say a few words. She's earned it. Councillor Angela Guarino-Sawaya.
Okay. I promised I was going to keep it short, but I don't think it's going to happen. Buonasera, benvenuti a tutti. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. It is such an honor to be here as we celebrate Italian Heritage Month. Un momento per riconoscere la nostra cultura, le nostre famiglie e la nostra eredità. A time to recognize our culture, our family, and the incredible legacy of Italian Americans, where honor, family, and loyalty and integrity always came first. For me, today isn't just an event. È personale. It's personal. My parents immigrated to this country through Ellis Island in 1966, just after they were married. Sono arrivati con solo $300 nella tasca. They came with only $300 in their pocket, their wedding money, and a dream for a better life. My father found work in a factory in Boston's North End, where he made suits, and my mom soon realized she was pregnant with me. When I started school, Mom got a job at Filene's Basement and worked as a paraprofessional in the Boston school systems while attending school at night to try to get one of her many degrees. Back in Italy, she had been an accountant and a teacher, but like so many immigrants, she had to start all over. They lived in Boston's North End, the heart of the Italian-American life in the city, il cuore della vida italo-americana. They worked hard, they sacrificed, and they never gave up. Eventually, they bought a building with relatives on Prince Street, a home we still own today, and later settled in this beautiful city of Revere. My father, an Army vet, opened a tailor shop with my uncle. It was called Italian Tailoring, and it became a well-loved staple of the neighborhood. Un negozio che tutti le conoscevano e amavano. Everyone knew them, and everyone loved them. Mia madre mi ha insegnato a cucinare da piccola. My mother taught me to cook at a very young age, and those are memories I truly and deeply treasure. I cooked lunch for my dad when I came home from school. The values my parents taught me, il rispetto, il lavoro e la famiglia. Respect, hard work, and family shaped who I am today. So, when people come up to me and say, wow, you never stop, it's because of my family. It's because what my parents taught me, the work ethic that they instilled in me. I can still smell the foods as I was growing up. La pastina, everybody knows what that is. Pasta e fagiole, everybody knows what that is. La braciola, and il sugo. Le lumache in sugo. Does anybody know what that is, il lumache? Snails. They would make periwinkles and put them in a tomato sauce. I loved the smell of them on a Friday. Our house was filled with traditions, and when our parents asked us for help, we never said no. Mai dicevamo no. Quando mamma voleva qualcosa, papà voleva qualcosa, mai dicevamo no. I remember my father making vino in the basement, and the long weekends, jarring the tomatoes, making peperone all'aceto, vinegar peppers, pepperoni imbottiti con prosciutto and provolone, everybody loves those. Stuffed cherry peppers, making pickled melanzane, which are pickled eggplants, and la fonga, the wild mushrooms that we have to go out and go pick. Those are little moments that taught me not just about food, but culture, patience, and pride. Sono le momenti che mi hanno insegnato della cultura, la pazienza e l'orgoglio. On Sundays, after a long 8-course meal, we had a routine. Facciamo un passaggio. We would head to Revere Beach, ride the amusements, go to Bob's Discount, and end up surrounding again by family and friends. It's so meaningful to me now, especially in my role as a city councillor in Revere. Camminare per le stesse strade e servire la comunità che mi ha cresciuto è un onore immenso. To walk the same streets and serve the same community that shaped me, where I spent my Sundays at Revere Beach with my family, it's an incredible full circle moment because I actually moved to Revere Beach. Growing up to Revere Beach. Growing up in an Italian family was something truly special. My parents saved every single penny that they made and took us back to Italy every single summer. We spent the entire summer with the nonni. Each time we went back, we were treated like royalty. They would prepare for months, hanging the prosciutto and getting the provolone ready, the formaggio ready, so there would be an overabundance. The entire town would know, Americanas are coming, the Americanas are coming. So the city would be celebrating because we would be going there. We were, and still are, very loud, emotional, and passionate. Arguments, always, 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 but they never lasted. Everything was forgotten and forgiven by dessert. Sunday dinners were sacred. Big tables, loud voices, incredible food, and always family, sempre famiglia. Today we still celebrate the Feast of the Seven Fishes, and I dread the day that that tradition fades. It's not just about the food, it's about everything that meal represents. Love, honor, family, and loyalty, and our shared history. Everything we do as Italians, we do per la famiglia, for our family. That's who we are, that's what grounds us. And in today's world where people can feel so disconnected, more disconnected than ever, sono molto grata di essere cresciuta in una cultura dove la famiglia significa tutto. I'm grateful that I grew up in a culture where family means everything. And in our Italian-American communities like Revere, it still does. So tonight, as we celebrate Italian Heritage Month in Revere, we aren't just looking back, we're honoring the legacy that shaped us and celebrating the tradition that still lives on. The courage of our parents and grandparents, the laughter, the loudness, the food, and the faith. That's what made our families strong. From the tailor shop to the kitchen table to Revere Beach, I carry all that with me ogni giorno, every day. Grazie mille. Thank you for being here tonight. Insieme come una famiglia. Together we are one beautiful family in this beautiful città di Revere. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Swire. For all of you who are in the back, there are some seats. If you want to fill them, feel free to come forward. Don't be shy or bashful. So up next, we have, it's an honor to have him in the city of Revere, representing the Italian Republic here in Boston and throughout New England. We have Consul General Alberto Minuti. Arnaldo Minuti. For that, can we all say Arnaldo Minuti? Does that make up for it?
Buonasera a tutti. So good evening, thank you for coming, and Mr. Mayor and all the distinguished guests, Father Della Penna, all of you, House Representatives, Senator, Mr. Richard Vita, the President of the Italian Heritage Month Committee, the representative of committees. Thank you so much for all the stories that you have told us, all these memories of your Italian heritage. Thank you for remembering also the Italian American soldiers that offered their lives they sacrificed themselves to save Europe during the Second World War. Thank you for remembering the roots of the Italian heritage, family, faith, and food, of course. All these. Also, thank you for all these, for remembering all these, reminding us all the famous Italian delicacies. Yes, delicious food. And well, so it is with great pride and joy that I join you today here in Revere to celebrate Italian Heritage Month with this meaningful ceremony. Let me begin by expressing my sincere gratitude to Mayor Patrick Keefe, to the members of the City Council, and to all distinguished guests here, and to the local Italian American associations for organizing this event again, And actually, I was here last year. And so I forgot to say that this is, of course, a beautiful day despite the weather. But last year was much colder. So I remember last year was freezing. So now it's much warmer than last year. Yes. So thank you so much for organizing this event and keeping alive year after year this beautiful tribute to the Italian-American community and its remarkable legacy in this city of Revere. Revere, like so many cities across Massachusetts, has long been enriched by the contribution of Italian immigrants and their descendants. They helped build neighborhoods, schools, and local businesses, always guided by the same values of family, hard work, and community that continue to inspire us today. Their story is one of resilience and dedication of men and women who brought to this land their talent, their creativity, and their hope for a better future. Just a few days ago, we celebrated Columbus Day, and thank you for the distinguished representatives that reminded us the events that led to the proclamation of this feast of Columbus Day more than a century ago. So Columbus Day, a holiday that continues to remind us of the long-standing ties between Italy and the United States. In this year's presidential proclamation, the White House paid a big tribute to Christopher Columbus, recognizing his historic voyage as the beginning of a shared transatlantic story, one that continues to evolve through friendship, mutual respect, and collaboration between our two nations. Of course, we can say a lot, and has been said a lot about Christopher Columbus, but of course we cannot, I think it's undeniable that he was really a hero, and as the proclamation says, it's really a giant of Western civilization. As we celebrate the Italian Heritage Month, we honor that shared story, one that belongs not only to history books, but also to the living communities that keep our heritage vibrant and forward-looking. This ceremony is both a symbol of pride and a promise for the future, a reminder that the Italian spirit, creative, generous, and determined, remains a vital force in American life. To the city of Revere, to all Italian Americans, and to every friend of Italy gathered here today, I extend my heartfelt thanks. Buon Italian Heritage Month to all, and may this tradition continue to unite our communities, celebrating the enduring friendship between Italy and the United States, a friendship built on shared values, shared dreams, and a shared commitment to a brighter future. So remember, family, faith, food, and friendship. Grazie, thank you, grazie mille a tutti, thank you.
Thank you, Consul General Arnaldo Minuti. Honestly, thank you for strengthening the bond between the Italians and our community. Hold on, we got backup here. Hold on, let me put this on. Here we go. Can you guys still hear me? Are you guys still awake? Are you guys ready? We have 2 more speakers, and we're going to go in for some food. Our next speaker is the president of the Italian American Heritage Committee of Massachusetts, Richard Vita.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Mayor Keefe, for organizing this event, and welcome to the elected officials, state and city councilor and state senator Lydia Edwards, and Consul Minuti, Father Michael. And I think I want to start by thanking all of you for coming coming out today, I can't tell you how important it is to gather together and to celebrate these moments. It's important because it's a signal to our Italian community and the city of Revere and beyond of the love and affection we have for our Italian heritage. Our journey here, emigrating in masses over that period of the last 100, 150 years, was one filled with hope and resiliency by those that came to America in search of a better life for themselves and their family. And it was extremely difficult. It wasn't, it sounds too minimal to say the sacrifice they made. The hardship was immense. I'd like to believe that all of us could endure what they did in the face of lack of opportunity, of unwillingness to gain acceptance and recognition. But what we want to celebrate today is the resilience, the values, the determination for hard work and for honesty and for love of family, and over the period of generations, how the Italian Americans have assimilated in this country is such an achievement that you can't fully describe it in words. But what we want to do is that we're celebrating the incredible contributions that Italian Americans have made to the tapestry of American culture. We have left an indelible mark on every facet of our society. This month, not just one day, Columbus is an extremely important day, but for 26 years, this is the 26th anniversary of October Italian Heritage Month. We honor the innovators, the artists, the chefs, the laborers who brought their traditions, their passion, their creativity to America. We celebrate the food that brings us together, the music that moves us, the art that inspires us, and the strong sense of family that is at the heart of it all. I want to tell you briefly that the October Italian Heritage Month Committee has been hard at work this month promoting our heritage. We had a grand celebration kickoff at the State House, attended by a number of people here, including the Consul, Father Michael, and elected officials. And in the House chambers, we read aloud a proclamation written by Governor Healy, which acknowledged the great accomplishments of 5 Italian Americans. I won't go into them all, but the last one on the list was the first American-born Pope, born in America, Pope Leo, the celebrated singer Liza Minnelli, and many others. In addition to that, we had scholarships for both Italian learning students, for musical schools, for colleges, and we had three very famous honorees to give an award to. One was the famous celebrity chef and author and TV personality Lydia Bastianich. She came and was absolutely delightful meeting all of the attendees who came. We also had Amelia Fazzolari, who is a very accomplished business executive, a co-founder of a tequila company. She's also a part owner of the Boston Celtics with her husband, Wick Grossbach, and she is a philanthropist who gives so magnificently to many causes affecting women in healthcare and justice, including on the boards of hospitals and scholarships from Italy for students, both going to universities in Italy and more recently even here at Boston College. So beyond that, you know, we had at our annual Unity Mass at St. Leonard's Church, which was filled to capacity by parishioners, by a lot of the members of Italian organizations. And then on Columbus Day, we had our Columbus Day breakfast at the Dante Alighieri in Cambridge, and we had a robust presentation by Steve Puleo, who has written 11 books, including some well-known ones about the Boston Italians and the North End, and we had a wonderful time. And I had the privilege of addressing and speaking, and I made the point that while we still have to resist efforts of those that want to remove Columbus Day, it's important to note that even long before the president, 119 years ago, issued the first proclamation of Columbus Day, Columbus Day was celebrated wildly in America. It was always the passion or considered to be almost a saint by the Italian American community because of his achievements, and that's just the truth of it all. And so we don't have to live in fear of anything. We just continue to do what we know is right and who we want to honor and respect. So I'll wrap up by saying there is a calendar of events all throughout the month, published in the Post-Gazette. They were available at the Dante Alighieri Society. And so as the governor by state law was required to urge all the citizens of the Commonwealth to enjoy and celebrate these month-long activities, I wish we all do and enjoy this very special period for Italian Americans.
You guys warm yet? Thank you, Attorney Vita, for promoting Italian heritage throughout the community and throughout the state. Next, give him a little, he's our last speaker, our final speaker. He's a Revere resident, and he's the secretary of the Italian committees abroad. Getting up. Fabio Colasante.
Thank you, thank you.
I was so cold.
Thank you all the Mayor Keith, all the elected official, local, state, and thank you to Richard Vita, the Father della Penna, and Consul General. Thank you. And good afternoon and buonasera. My name is Fabio Colasante. It's an honor and privilege to be here today to raise the Italian flag as an Italian immigrant, as a Revere resident, and representing Comites. I am here today speaking on behalf of Comites President Alberto Mustone, and I'm here today along with my colleagues here of the Italian community and friends. They're here. Comite stands for Committee of Italians Abroad. It is an official entity created and regulated by Italian law. Comite's members are elected by Italian citizens that live here in New England area with a purpose to promote cultural and social activities to support the Italian language and culture in collaboration with the Consulate General of Italy in Boston and with the Italian American Association of the area. Comite's motto is Insieme per la comunità, together for the community. In fact, the goal we have in common with other associations is to strongly support the Italian language and culture, especially the Italian language education at all levels in schools and colleges. Promoting and celebrating the Italian heritage and culture, it is also a way to honor past generations who came in this country a long time ago. They came to this great land to find opportunities they could not find in their own country, facing hardship, exploitation, and discrimination. Those immigrants with hard work and sacrifice turned those adversities in opportunities to better themselves, their families, and also better the community. Over time, Italian immigrants became an important part of the business, social, and political life of the community of this country with their great contribution. And the city of Revere is a great example of this process as just mentioned. We all know the stories of our grandparents and great-grandparents. We all hear those stories of sacrifice and work, stories of love for their families and dedication to their tradition. These incredible stories of resilience and persistence are now part of the history and the nature of this country. A country that became strong because of its ability to welcome and accept immigrants like Italians just until a few decades ago. For these reasons, today we don't just raise an Italian flag. Today we honor and we recognize the achievements of Italian Americans to our community and in the United States. They represent an example of success to our community, to the city of Revere, to the Commonwealth, and the entire country. Thank you to the city of Revere for this celebration, and thank you all for celebrating with us. God bless America and Viva l'Italia. Ciao. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. And Steve has a few last announcements, but I want to personally acknowledge some of the sponsors who helped promote today's event, but also provided some of the food that you're going to eat. So we're going to let you come in, but I wanted to make sure I mentioned them. Valso's over on Shirley Ave, Valari on Broadway, Toretta's Bakery, Domino's, SNL Subs in Chelsea, De Palma Restaurant right over here, and there's a few others in the neighboring towns. Luigi's, New Dill, Fruit Produce, Nick's Bistro, Chocolaf, Bagel Bin, Man's Bakery, Rockland Trust, St. Jean Credit Union, Broadsound Real Estate, Linway Associates, Mercurio Brothers, in Cafe Avellino. We really appreciate you. I know that a lot of you are waiting. We do have some entertainment. We have some music. We have some dance. Deja Vu's here. We have a dance studio here that we helped assemble. I hope you stick around for more than just the food, but you stick around for some of the culture that is so important to us. And as everyone has mentioned, we're so excited to present this to you. Next year, we're going to do it October 1st, right? Put that in your calendar. October 1st, October 2nd. The weather will be perfect. Let's have a great rest of the evening. Thank you so much.
Okay, guys, so you guys ready to eat? Voglio mangiare. Okay, thank you, and give yourself a round of applause. And that concludes our program for the evening.